This is the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max. And people do say that not only the model name, but also the design is heavily inspired by this. And this is the Apple iPhone 17 Pro. I know, hold your horses, it's not the Pro Max. But in this video, guys, I want to check some of the basic things like what about the whole user interface? Here we have HyperOS version 3 with Android 16. Here we have the latest iOS 26. So what about lock screen customizations? What about Quick Panel? What about all the icons and the liquid glass effect? I really want to try to understand how close is the Xiaomi 17 Pro and Pro Max series with the latest Apple iPhone 17 Pro. I want to understand if there is a common ground for people to say that this thing is copying this. So let's try to find out. First thing is the design. And apparently here we cannot really deny that even with this nice little almost party trick at the moment in terms of functionality back screen that you can, by the way, customize with a third-party app that I covered. Yeah, the design on the back is somehow heavily influenced by this design. We have this new plate here. We have the camera array like this, and okay, there is of course some differences, like the ultra wide is down below and the flashlight, but yeah, the design on the back is very similar. If we take the Apple iPhone 17 Pro, we're gonna see that we have a very big power button here on the right. Okay, and this is the same also for the Xiaomi, but we do have the volume rocker here on the right as well, and when we turn the iPhone to the left, we see the action button and the volume rocker, and also the slot for the SIM card. This is not the situation here. The Xiaomi 17 Pro Max boasts a very plain area, and down below, guys, yep, we have the SIM tray on the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max, and we have the speaker and the USB-C port on both the iPhone and the Xiaomi. Alright, I've cleaned up the phone, and guys, I'm also trying to use the same wallpaper. And the first thing apparently that we are going to explore is the wallpaper customization. But we can see already some things that are very, very similar, and this thing is, allow me to say it, it's something that we still don't have in Samsung One UI 8.5, and this is the depth effect. As you can see, we have the clock behind our main protagonist here that is on the wallpaper. By the way, you might recognize this wallpaper from System Hacks videos. Yes, this is his iPhone, so a lot of respect to System Hacks for lending me the iPhone to be able to just do this short comparison. Now, first things first, guys, I'm gonna start with the Xiaomi. What can we do here, guys? Okay, what you see on the screen is what you get. So you have the option to pinch to zoom, and when you do this to a certain extent, then the depth effect can no longer be applied. What happens on the iPhone? I can as well click here and just remove the depth effect. All right, and then we're probably gonna have the same thing. I'm able to resize the clock, and I can just go and enable the depth effect back. So on the Xiaomi, guys, if I want to use something that is similar, I probably just need to go and change it from the big clock to, let's say, a classic clock. On the Xiaomi, I cannot just drag and move the clock around, but I can choose this one. And this one is going to be, all right, kind of similar to this. And when I click on the clock, I have some font effects. So what happens when I click here, guys? All right, we have font and color. And apparently I can change the font, and I can also change it with the slider here. It works exactly the same way here, guys, on the Xiaomi. As you can see, yes, things are, I would say, very much similar. Now, we have some options to change the color on the iOS 26, and we have the same options on the Xiaomi, and when you change the color, you can also try to change the intensity. You can see this is exactly how it works on the iPhone. The first thing here is to use a color that is adapted from the wallpaper, but on the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max we have something that is called the effect. So you can go from solid, blend, and overlap. The overlap is probably looking a bit like liquid glass. I would say just a bit, though what we see on the iPhone is that the clock font is just very 3D. I honestly like this one. I also like the fact that this whole menu here is translucent. Again, it comes with this liquid glass effect, and you can see it is very, very quick. Absolutely stunning. The Xiaomi 17 Pro Max HyperOS version 3 is a bit more plain. This is the menu that you get. Now, pay attention, guys. What else can I do here? On the Apple iPhone, I have also the option to create a spatial scene. And it's very funny to see how iOS and iPhone users are freaking out with this. We had apps like this in Android since years, but okay, I do understand this is right now stock functionality. And of course, the other thing is to either extend the wallpaper or use the depth effect. Now, something that I believe is very, very important on the iPhone, guys, I have the option to add widgets. All right, so I can add widgets. Here, for some reason, yeah, there is no widget button. And by the way, I can just go right and apply different colors. I can see it changes the visual representation, and I can do this as well on the Xiaomi. I'll use lens and read it and stuff like this. So there are plenty of things here that you can do. What happens if I go to the right? It's going to give me the wallpaper, but not on the lock screen, on the home screen. If you want to have blur on the home screen, then you can do this, or you can also use a combination of different wallpapers for the lock and the home screen. So there are certainly some things. And also something that is a bit peculiar, guys. Yes, you can add different toggles here. The way you can do this also on your Samsung phone, you know, with One UI, and for a reason we cannot really do that. The biggest thing that I like here is using that big clock, because it's able even to produce like a depth effect with a very big clock like this, and it really looks stunning. You have the date, okay, yeah, one more time, depth effect, the date is here. So I would say in terms of customizations, yes, there are really some similarities. There are some pros and cons. You have the pros here on the iPhone that you're able to resize the widgets. You cannot do this on the Xiaomi for now at the moment. You have also this thing with the spatial scene, and you can add probably a bit more effects here on the Xiaomi, but you can also add widgets on the iPhone, and you cannot do this here on the HyperOS. And yes, there is also the AI thingy that is not yet implemented here, which you can use to animate the wallpaper, and you can create static images, you know, based on anime or plush toys or needle feeling, or you can also go, guys, and even create a dynamic one, which is kind of cool. It's something that you still cannot do on iOS. So although there are a lot of similarities, and although some of the new AI features in HyperOS version 3 will take between 2 to 3 minutes, I would say that they are not exactly the same one-to-one. And by the way, you can see on some of the design elements, yes, for sure, they kind of look like liquid glass, but they're not. And now the animated wallpaper is ready on the Xiaomi. And guys, take a look at this. This ain't that bad. Can we add now depth on an animated dynamic wallpaper? We can. Xiaomi definitely pulling out the ace card and a hidden joker, because this feature is actually very, very cool. So in terms of AI things that you can do on your wallpapers, I would say, yep, Xiaomi actually can offer quite some nice and interesting things. Now, what happens else, guys? This is the iPhone customization, and you probably know about this. Like, it works in that way. You just scroll left and right, and then let's say you like something, you click customize, and then you can start customizing, adding effects, adding widgets, or you can create a brand new from here. All right, now how does this look on the Xiaomi? So let's say I want to edit it. I'm gonna click here. Okay, you can go and use your sets, which pretty much doubles as the iPhone, although with this small little detail that the animation is a bit better. Uncollapsing and collapsing, which I think is kind of cool. And this is just my set, but what about other, right? If you want to choose people, scenery, or Eastern aesthetics, guys, this is a very nice and fancy animation compared to what we have in iOS that is a bit more, I would say, fix and stealth. But okay, this was just the first thing, the lock screen, and now it's time for us to check the other features. So here we are. This is the home screen. What other key features can we review and compare to try to determine how equal or not equal those things are? Now, first thing, this is the home screen. All right, one swipe left will give me what I see right now as, again, coming from a Chinese phone. And okay, this is what you get on the iPhone. Is this looking similar, guys? I think it kind of is. Also, yeah, there are some certain design elements that kind of like resemble the glass effect, but I think just to an extent. Influenced, maybe. One-to-one copy, definitely not. Scrolling to the very right on my phone, we're gonna get the app library, which is something that I don't have here on the Xiaomi. And the app library is one of these fancy iOS things where all the apps will just go down and the app library will stay on top. It adds a lot of dimension, and there is liquid glass almost everywhere. So honestly, it's kind of cool. And with one scroll up, I'm gonna go back to my home screen. This is just like a simple widget. What about the weather? As you can see, yeah, the weather apps are also not, let's say, one-to-one. Probably one of the first things that we need to start comparing is this thing here. And this is the quick panel. And this is the one from the iOS. All right, now, this is the one from the Xiaomi. And honestly, guys, there are some certain elements that are... Okay, take a look at this now playing, right? Let me start with this because this has been a problem for me since quite a lot. I'm gonna try to play a song from Spotify. Let's use Apple Music to do the same on the iPhone, and I'm gonna go inside a quick setting. So this small media player is something that I don't like, probably even remotely hate. But what can you do on the iPhone, guys? You can click this sign here, all right, and you can just do like this or even like this. You can make this really big, and this is kind of the way I enjoy it. Can you do this in the HyperOS version 3? Are you able to resize the system elements? Look at this, guys. I'm able to resize all the toggles, all right? And this, by the way, is also the latest implementation in One UI 8.5, which hopefully is very soon gonna hit up at least the official betas. You can resize a lot of the things and you can delete them. What happens here? All right, guys, you can edit, sort, just delete some things and add new things. Yeah, but it's not the same. And you definitely cannot resize this player. So the quick panel is definitely something that is not looking exactly the same, remotely like this. And also, guys, the animation. All right, this is the animation on the Xiaomi, and this is the animation on the Apple iPhone 17 Pro. Now, what about the notifications? And pay attention, guys. All right, the moment I start swiping down like this, all right, I'm gonna get this very famous liquid glass effect. Actually, let me try to kill this Apple Music because it's annoying. I want you to see this. This is very, very cool, guys. Why? Well, because according to Apple, the latest iPhone 17 Pro and the Max, you know, they have the processing power to render these effects almost in real time. Not almost, they are in real time and they're looking very, very good. Okay, so this is notification shade with these toggles here, some widgets, and boom, we are now in our notification center. What happens with the Xiaomi, guys? I'm gonna do this like this. You see instant blur effect, I think also in real time. And now we're gonna get all the notification popping up, of course, with the grouping. And in terms of notification handling, a lot of these things are the same here. You can just swipe left and right to try to kill them. Actually, no, you cannot swipe right, only left. Here you can do left or you can do right if you want. Honestly, there are not a lot of similarities. What else can you do on the home screen? Okay, when you hold your finger like this, all right, the iOS icons will start to wiggle and dance. One more time, just like this. And then when you click edit, guys, yeah, you can see this animation, how good this animation is. One more time, guys, just fancy animation. You can click customize. This is one of the iOS 26 weapons, or let's say features, because right now, guys, you can do a lot of theming on the icons. You can use dark, you can use also or light, right? And you can also go and choose a tinted one. And take a look at this, guys. This is still only working in the Pixel 10 Pro with the latest QPR. It's theming all the icons. It's really on a system-wide level. As you can see, system-wide theming of the icons is really cool and it works everywhere. But what you can do on the Xiaomi HyperOS version 3 is you can change the style. Right? There is the default one, the classic and the limitless, and you can install icon packs, and you can apparently also change the icon size. Now, I'm not saying that there are many other things, guys, that you can do here which you cannot do on the iPhone, and that's for sure. I just wanted to compare the home screen. So from the customizations here, you're pretty much able to do these things. Now when you engage with the same on the HyperOS, guys, you go inside the settings, there are so many things that you cannot do on the iPhone, like changing the transition effects to some very fancy one, very well animated. There are more things, by the way. If you click on the settings, you can also change the default screen, choose the first or the second or the third one to be this. You can show text on and off anywhere, let's say, or just on the widgets or just on the icons. So there are really so many options, guys, but there is no system-wide theming of the icons. This is something that I really want right now. And when you go inside the home screen settings, then you have the standard Android options, the classic one, the with app drawer, the light mode, the app suggestion, the manage categories if you use the app drawer like I do, because remember, this is Android, so I have an app drawer and I can do things like this, and then I get this auto grouping communication, entertainment based on category. We still don't have this, so again, iOS is going to be still a bit more limited, although, you know, finally they started to kind of debunk the myth that they're going to be stuck there forever. Like, for example, you can now take an icon and put it where you want, which is very, very cool. And remember, the previous years, this wasn't so much possible. Now here, guys, I'm kind of limited with the grid. So yeah, there are pros and cons on both systems. Also, what you can do, for example, if I just go here, let me show you. Okay, this is an empty cell. I'm gonna shake it, boom. Okay, and by the way, every time I'm shaking the phone, there is this rattling noise. Don't panic, guys. This is just the optical image stabilization. So in terms of things that you can do on the home screen, I would say still, you know, Xiaomi with HyperOS and apparently with Android is going to give you more power. But this video is just to compare and to try to understand if really Xiaomi kind of like cloned the iPhone, because what I see right now is, yes, there are certain similarities, but there are a lot of different things. Speaking of different things, guys, this is the volume rocker, and I really like the iOS implementation, starting with that big volume rocker. And the moment you start manipulating this with your finger, it's gonna stay big, but if you do this via the keys or the volume rocker knobs, it's going to be a small one. This is very cool. All right, how does it work here? It stays big, and when I start to also manipulate it with this, it's gonna stay like that. But okay, this is Android and it's HyperOS, so this means they have plenty of other things here as well. When I click here on this, yeah, you see it's iOS, I just don't get anything here. I have more options. I can also try to set silent mode or the do not disturb, and because it's an iPhone, yeah, we can do this from this button. When you go inside the settings, there's this action button, so yeah, there are plenty of other things. By the way, some other Chinese brands are even far more influenced with this compared to Xiaomi. Now, what happens on top, guys? Okay, we have the phone here. All right, we have the battery percentage inside the battery with the Wi-Fi icon, and yes, this looks a bit like this. And now it's time to check what happens inside the settings menu. Is it similar, guys? I would say, yeah, you might think of this being really similar. It's the same outline, and there's this gray line here. We don't have them there. All right, nothing really so fancy here. Where is the search button though? On the iPhone is here, and on the Xiaomi is on top. But now I want to address something that I think is really straight influenced from Apple. So I'm gonna start my clock on the iPhone and also my clock on the Xiaomi, and I'm gonna start a basic stopwatch. I'm gonna minimize it. Boom. Dynamic island. Boom. I'm not sure. Xiaomi island. Now what happens, guys, pay attention, because the implementation is so similar but also different. When I click this, I'm gonna enter back inside my application, which is not ideal, guys. When I click here, I'm just going to get this small part, and if I wanna enter, I can go back. Also, what I like is, all right, even when I click and get the small portion here, you know, this is going to be animated, which is very cool. I'm gonna play some random music. Okay, so what happens here, guys? We still have our stopwatch, and here I have my music up. So what happens? Again, the same old thing, guys. You click it and you enter the app. What happens here? You click it, this uncollapse, and now we have again this portion of top. Oh, I can click that as well. We get this small thing, and then I can get inside the player. So honestly, this might be a better, or let's say more convenient implementation. Also, what can you do? Can you just swipe and scroll things? Yeah, you can. Can you do this here? Well, you can. You can just try to hide them if you want. Or, okay, what happens now? Yep, unhide them. All right, and do like this. You can also do the same on the iPhone. So yes, this element is something that I would say is like 80 to 90% influenced from Apple iPhone, but then again, the implementation is a bit different. This brings me to the next topic. This is gonna be the camera. You can see this is the new iOS 26 camera layout. It's very clean, guys, very simple. Honestly, I like it. Because here, you know, in Android phones and in Xiaomi, we have 1000 modes and you have all these things going on here. It's very simple. You have either video or photo. If we go to video and you want to change some settings, boom, hit up the settings. And by the way, this animation is just so cool. Flashlight, exposure. We have a dual capture, which is, by the way, missing from the Xiaomi 17 Pro Max. From here you can change all the frame rates, things that you can do on the Xiaomi from here, but then you have access to this thing. And a lot of things are gonna pop out. And it's still something that Xiaomi decided not to copy. Now, what about the gallery? All right, you can see, yeah, liquid glass here. And okay, one might argue that there are some liquid glass influences from iOS to HyperOS. White elements, white background, boom. dark background and then translucent elements. It's a bit different in Xiaomi, guys. So far we were able to confirm that yes, there are a lot of differences between the Apple iPhone 17 Pro Max, and yes, there are a lot of similarities in the 17 Pro Max. But my main takeaway is going to be that there are far more differences between this phone and that phone compared to the similarities. Let me know, guys, what you think down below in the comments. Stay safe, VST over, and bye.